This bill legalizes sawed-off shotguns.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to ShiftLess, the podcast that is solely and irresponsibly only against or about bicycles and cycling-related products and propane accessories. Welcome to, I think this is episode 107. How the hell did we do that, Bradford?
I don't know. Just just ignoring all the signs.
I've never done 107 of anything. Well, all right. There might be a thing or two.
You remember when you were a teenager and your parents were gone that weekend?
It was not 107 times in one weekend.
No, it was 107 levels of Mega Man.
Mega Man. That's going in the Wayback Machine there.
Yeah. Guess who's here?
Who is here?
Mr. the one and only DJ Caleb.
Who would have thunk it?
So nice to have you back.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Welcome, Caleb.
Man, it's good to see you guys.
Man, it's good to be seen.
I do feel lucky though that I get to see you guys quite a bit. Do you know the week of Chef's Kiss, you and I saw each other 5 days in a row?
That's pretty epic.
I hung out with you more than my wife, and she notified me of it.
She brought you up to speed on that topic.
She's like, "Why don't you guys just get married and get it over with?"
It's legal now, so
For now.
That is true.
For the time being.
What's new? Look at these flies. 1, 2, 3. There are.
Kevin and I were just discussing that before you showed up, how bad the flies are this year.
I need to send you what we ordered. This little, it's like a plastic jar, and there's this mixture, this dry powder mixture that you mix with water, and I think it's probably like fish bones, some kind of like really stinky attractant. You hang it from your tree or your eave or whatever. It's got a cap on the top and then little small holes, and they get in there and they die. I put one out day before yesterday, and it is, there's probably 300 flies in it.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
But it works.
The flies weren't that bad until Caleb got here.
Oh, shit.
There were only a couple of them.
I put this new age.
The cinnamon oil works for mosquitoes. It doesn't do well, it might be attracting the flies.
No, it generally repels them. I read, in fact, my mom sent me a deal. No, it wasn't my mom. I saw it on some meme or something.
It's real then.
The vanilla Rama flavor of little trees is supposed to be a major deterrent for flies.
I have no idea what you just said.
What the hell does that mean?
You know, little trees, the deals that people hang.
Oh, your air freshener for your car.
There's a flavor called vanilla Rama, and it's supposed to be a major deterrent for flies.
That sounds like the same marketing employee that Avon did with Skin So Soft.
This wasn't deployed by little trees. Well,
how do you know that?
Yeah.
Supposedly Avon didn't deploy the bullshit about Skin So Soft.
They knew about it. Did you see the link I sent you? The guy fishing with the ornamental dragonflies?
107 brought to you by Avon. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did you guys see the link I sent where it was the guy fishing with the ornamental dragonflies pinned to his hat?
I did see that.
I've seen a bunch.
We ordered a set of them. I'm going to try them out.
I've seen it before. So
yeah, I've seen a bunch of videos where people put them on their entryway lights and stuff, and supposedly it keeps, especially biting bugs away.
Speaking of bugs, did you see driving home through North Shore yesterday, all of the bugs, like just the swarms?
Mm-mm.
I've never seen anything like it. As I was driving through the road, going from Mad Shelter to the guard gate, coming around curves where your light would like pan across the woods.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know if they were mosquitoes or
I wasn't paying attention.
That would be the swarms of gnats traditionally.
holy
But
shit.
let's backtrack a
Okay.
touch
All right.
because you brought up something that there's probably like 89% of our listeners had no idea what you were talking about.
Sure.
You talked about an Instagram reel about dragonflies,
Yep.
but you didn't really describe what
Yeah.
was on the reel.
Okay, so it's a guy fishing on a river, and he has on his it's kind of silly looking, but on his cap, the bill of his cap, he has clipped. It is you can buy a set of a dozen of them for $9 on Amazon. But essentially, they're these artificial dragonflies. They almost look like fishing lures, little plastic, and they're brightly colored.
But real dragonfly
They look-
sized.
Yeah, they're fairly anatomically correct looking for the most part.
Yeah.
Apparently, it fools gnats and mosquitoes. So the theory is, and so they're connected to a metal wire. They're maybe 10 inches tall, and you can clip them to different things. You can probably clip them to your outdoor table or
Can I
whatever.
clip them to my nipples?
If that is your thing, I think that's legal in most states, so you could do that. The theory around it is that
Can Brad clip them to your nipples?
that is not going to happen.
Okay.
That is not going to
Just
happen.
want to make sure.
Why did it have to get so weird all this?
So dragonflies are predators, right? And so the theory is that it will keep the gnats and flies and mosquitoes away. And the guy fishing says, I'm not saying it works for sure. I'm just saying that before I clipped this on, there were bugs swarming my face, and now they're not. So those would have been very beneficial had they worked at
It's
4R.
It strikes me as a worthwhile experiment.
Show Kevin that. We had a pet dragonfly one time in Brad's pool. It was landing on our finger.
We had one day, I mean, was that last summer?
It was last summer.
There was just dragonflies everywhere around my pool. And you could just hold your finger up and they just land on your finger.
So that tells you there's mosquitoes all around your pool.
Or not.
Well, I mean, they go where the food is. So
Yep.
anyway, we ordered some. I'll report back. They should
Okay.
be in a couple of days.
I am looking forward to that book report.
And if it's something that is worthwhile, they're very lightweight. You could theoretically bring one bikepacking
Yeah.
and just clip it on your tent, or you could clip it on the shock cord, not
Yeah.
shock cord, but the
Structural ridge
cord,
line.
the cordage or ridge line of your
Yeah.
I mean, the
hammock.
reality is the clipping it to the bill of the hat kind of makes the most sense because
Yep.
you want it to be wherever you are,
Yeah.
wherever you are at the campsite sort of thing.
You ordered them off of Amazon?
Mm-hmm.
I may just order some.
There's a million different ones that all look the same with differently spelled names.
Now, what would be cool is if you said you order them in packs of 9 or whatever. If you put 9 out like every 3 feet, and it just kept them all.
Yeah,
out
you
of
could
the air,
essentially you
that-
could
that
keep a
would be
perimeter.
ideal.
Yeah.
Might have to.
You
yeah.
could even clip them to the back of your, if everyone was sitting around a campfire, you could clip them to the back of your chair.
Yep.
I mean, it's super cheap. It's a $7 test, $8 test.
And
Yeah,
how,
this
and
is-
how many were in the?
Anywhere between 9 to a dozen.
Okay.
It's just kind of
Do
different.
they all have the long clips like this?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, here's 24 pieces for $11.99.
Yeah, but that's 12 dragonflies and 12 clips probably.
No, it's 24.
Oh, it's 24 of them.
Yeah.
A lot of times those Amazon ads, 24 pieces, but
It's everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Well-
gonna have to do this.
It's worth a shot. Just, I mean, it's a cheap test.
Well, let me know as soon as possible because if
I will.
it does work, I will order a batch for the Spinistry Mobile Chef's Kiss kitchen setup / party outdoor party palace.
So, mine and Brad's monthly cycle are not in sync, but apparently our crashes are in sync.
Oh,
Yeah.
We ended up going to North Shore. We got there at different times. I got there a little early yesterday, and so myself, Donahue, Proctor, and Adam hit West Side, and Brad probably got there 40 minutes after we left, something like that.
At least.
Anyway, we got back to the circle, and we're sitting around, and then Brad shows up, and we're sitting around, and Brad's kind of like tendering his shoulder, and he goes, I wrecked, and I almost pulled my brake cable, hit a tree, and went over the bars or whatever. And I'm like, holy shit, I did too. So we both, in two different instances, scratched up the same shoulder, going over the bar. No, yours is your left, mine's my
Mine's my
right.
left, yeah.
So we have we're equal though. Like,
I'm so bruised today.
yeah, mine's got some shit on it. I am still in awe that I did not hurt myself significantly last night. If I made that fall, if I did that same wreck 5 times, I'm getting hurt 5 times really, really bad. It's just, I had not been on the full West in quite some time. And there's,
Well, I haven't been on my single speed in what? It's been a month.
no, at least,
Yeah.
there's so much erosion, significant erosion on some of those drops.
Oh yeah.
To where I hit, it was on 6 heading towards Twin Coves. And it was just one of those turns that kind of goes down to the left, goes into a creek crossing and comes back up, but there's a bunch of 12 and 18 inch drops and things like that. And it's one that I've done 100,000 times, and you hug the outside right turn, but when you go off this drop, the ground that you land on is no longer flat. There's a rut. There's a washout rut in between the drop and the berm.
Probably
And
where a waterfall rolled
It's
down the
exact
trail.
100% what happened. And my tire hit it, and it like hitting a brick wall.
Yeah.
And it tumped me over, and it was in such slow motion that I had time to like analyze what was happening and
Nope.
figure out how to put my body in a place. So I was able to roll over my shoulder and turn my head, hit my head on the side of the rocks. Like I had dirt all in my helmet. And Brad said, "Why didn't you try to jump the bars?" If I'd done that, I would have gone 8 feet over the edge of that creek. Anyway, laid there and with my eyes closed, and I could hear Proctor running up and talking to me. So I thought, well, I'm not knocked out. And I thought, well, I'm not hurt. So am I paralyzed? Because it didn't hurt. Like it scratched up my shoulder, but I just happened to land
But
in the most perfect spot.
you haven't addressed the most important question.
What's that? Bike's fine.
Bike's fine. Okay.
Well, it was doing a little bit of a weird click sound. I don't know if I kinked the chain or something. It sounds like it to me. Initial sound is that there's something either wedged in one of the links, or maybe the chain got twisted. As I'm pedaling, I can feel a little bit of a click.
a little bit of a bind.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is. I need to take. Other than that, though, I kind of scratched up my bar end.
And what bike were you on?
I was on the Chumba Stella,
And that's single speed?
single speed, 32/18, which was
You forgot to mention the most important part when describing your bike that most people don't leave out.
what's that?
It's titanium.
It is titanium,
Yeah.
which is forever.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was scary. And then Brad almost pulled his brake cable out on the other side of the trail.
No, I pinballed off a tree. So I was riding behind Carl, and I clipped my right handlebar or right grip, and it just kind of turns your bars right, and then I overcorrected, or it was a forced correction, I guess. And so I hit the other tree on the other side, and just took the whole brunt of it on my shoulder. Guess my wheel went to the right of the tree, and it hit my handlebar right inside my brake lever, pulled my brake cable, and then smashed my housing on my cable so hard that the cable wouldn't come in or out, so I couldn't use my front brake. And I had to hold my front brake out and push the housing back so my brake wouldn't be engaged. So I got to fix that. And it made me, it was a kind of a good thing, because it made me think, what if this happens on hut to hut? I need to bring at least an internal cable and maybe even a piece of housing. I've never had that happen. And the odds of it happening again are pretty low, right?
You probably hit that bingo card.
Yeah.
So
It was such I've messed up brakes.
the difference being now it's on your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll overanalyze stuff.
Uh-huh.
Oh, can I catch my brake cable again doing this?
Yeah.
And then you got target fixation.
It was such a weird thing. Of all the years, and I say years, I mean decades of riding mountain bikes, I think that may be maybe the second time that I've messed up a brake cable like that.
When's the last time you went down hard? Do you remember? I remember the last time I saw you go down hard.
I don't remember.
You'll remember this.
Okay.
You demoed a salsa.
Oh, yeah.
What was that? What was a blackthorn?
No.
Is it Cassidy?
Spearfish.
Spearfish. He borrowed a brand new cherry red salsa spearfish from Villo. And we have a huge group.
That
10
was
of
on
us.
the west side.
10 or 12 of us.
Yeah.
He's on the west side. And right before that, just before you get to
Twin Cove.
Twin Coves Road, and there's that really, really tiny tree gate before you cross that wooden bridge.
Mm-hmm.
He hit that tree gate so hard, I picked up the front badge off the head tube of that salsa mountain bike. He went long and far.
I may have to re-examine my idea of lending bikes to Club Spinistry members.
Hey,
I want to talk about that.
I put that badge back on, and nobody would.
No one ever noticed. When I got back on my bike, I said I was due for one. I hadn't taken a significant tumble in a long time.
I tell Paula all the time, if you don't wreck, you're not riding hard enough.
Well,
And
maybe.
The irony is, last night I was not riding hard at all. So
No.
I just got complacent. Plus, I think it may be my second or third ride on that bike with wide bars. And those bars are 820. So they feel good, though.
When's the last time you went down? Other than what we've discussed.
Is
ad
that
nauseam?
an invitation?
107 times, apparently.
Like, I mean, the criteria is you don't necessarily have to get hurt, or maybe you did get hurt, or you could have seriously been if it wasn't one small factor.
The last time I ate shit on a bike was probably last fall when I was on that Brompton, and I thought I would try it down a very tame dirt trail.
These flies are out.
And it's got those 16-inch wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't the off-road Brompton, it's just the regular Brompton. And it's a flat level trail between a baseball field and a paved trail.
But is it like crushed granite or something?
No, it was dirt.
Okay.
It was dirt.
Okay.
But it was dry, but it was fall, leaves were down. And evidently there had been a post hole where there had been like one of those big wooden posts that somebody pulled out, and it was all covered with leaves. And that 16-inch wheel just fit perfectly down in that.
Just ate it up.
And swallowed the wheel. And
Yard sale.
I wish I could have been there to see that.
I'm sure you would have enjoyed it. It would have made your day.
The only thing that I ever get irritated about when I wreck is if there's no one there to see it. Because someone should get to enjoy it.
Man, I had a fucking audience last night.
I wrecked. I mean, I've wrecked so many times. It just happens, I wrecked one time on the west side when it was still two-way, or out and back. Mm-hmm. And you know where the sand climb is? Mm-hmm. I was coming back and tried to go down that rock and just endoed and just, And luckily I wasn't hurt because I was riding by myself. But then I was like, God, somebody should have seen that. I mean, it was
impressive.
It should have been. I mean, it had to have been impressive.
Yeah.
But
I try to ride within, always ride within my ability and not take I guess it's all relevant, but try not to take too many chances. I take more chances on sketchy downhill gravel sections with chunky rocks than I do mountain bikes.
Oh yeah,
I think
I was bombing all that stuff when we did Chef's Kiss.
Yeah.
I mean, just breaks off.
You're actually safe for hitting it at speed as long as your weight's in the right place.
For the most part,
yeah.
I think it's one of those things, the longer times before I actually wreck, it's just your confidence just ratchets up, and you start taking more and more chances. It's not like, you feel like, oh, this is a chance. You just
Yep.
you haven't been reminded in a long time,
Yeah.
and then you get that little hit, and then you're like, oh yeah, this can happen. You know,
Need
gotta-
to be aware.
So, what's the term I'm looking for? Unwritten rules.
Mm-hmm.
When Jordan and I did Rule of 3, within the first 4 or 5 miles, we start getting to some significant up and down gravel sections, and we kind of come around a corner, and we're in a group of, like I said, it's first 20 minutes or maybe first 40 minutes of the ride.
Are we talking etiquette here?
Yeah, etiquette. And we kind of come around a corner on a gravel road, and then you can tell, like, okay, we're going to hit some downhill sections. This is going to be some chunky. And there's a lot of people riding really, really slow and holding brakes all the way down. And I'm not kidding. Through that entire race, Jordan and I probably passed 30, 40 people not taking advantage of that downhill speed. So we're not only are we flying down these hills, but we're kind of weaving in and out. But I'm being what I consider responsible. I'm not getting too close to people. I'm not gonna ever put anyone in a position to where they need to move to get out of my way.
Right.
I'm not gonna cut in front of somebody, but
you don't know if they are going to move.
that's the thing. That's what I'm getting at, is like a lot of people get nervous when someone flies by them. So like, what do you guys think?
I always call out.
Yeah, we are. We're calling out, but we're also not racing. We're racing for fun. Like, we're out there having fun, and it's fun to do that. It's fun to fly down these hills.
Yeah.
But we're also not racing for a podium. We don't want to get anybody hurt. But then again, I could tell there was a couple people that got a little irritated over it.
So I was going to touch on this when y'all were talking about bombing the hills on Chef's Kiss and so forth. That is one big thing, right? I've definitely noticed in my years as putting on these events, because I don't know if you realize it or not. When there's a hill on a route, I'm going to find it and utilize it.
Yeah.
Every chance I get.
And typically in the direction that we don't want to go.
Yeah.
Now, you always have to go down to go up.
That's true.
You just notice the up more, generally speaking.
Yeah.
You've got your priorities backwards.
Yeah.
You always have to go up to go down. We're looking for looking for the carrot.
That's the
Yeah.
and that's what I was getting. We all come from a mountain biking background,
Mm-hmm.
and like I was talking about, you're safest just to bomb down the downhill. A lot of road bikers, particularly on gravel, dirt, loose surface, they are not comfortable bombing downhill at all. And that is one of those things I have a very difficult time relating to, because I don't even think about it. It's like, point downhill, scoot my ass back, lower my chest, and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just happens. And I feel more stable and secure at speed than trying to hold brakes and weave over here and dodge that.
The last thing you want to do is move your tires around.
Exactly.
Lateral to the road.
Exactly. That said, answering your question, always calling out, but in a mixed group situation, mixed skill levels like that, you just have to be hyper aware that there are going to be people that are super uncomfortable. If they get miffed that you're bombing down the hill, I'm gonna lean towards that's on them.
You're already inherently doing something that is dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But all that said, that's exactly how I got caught up in my bad crash at. You want to ask, the last time I really, really ate it, it was when I had that really bad head plant at Mid-South in 2018. And it was going down a bomber hill in the middle of a group of dumbasses surrounded by them. And it was a blind lip going down it.
Yeah.
So I slowed down to see what was over the other side before I bombed it, and it was a lip, and it was a very steep downhill. Shit, and it's people all the way across the road in all various skill levels, and I'm going down controlled, not bombing it, because there's people doing stupid shit. And I'm seeing this guy over in the left hand side.
That was Kevin.
That was me. left-hand side, just, barrel rolling through the ditch, shit flying out.
What are they hitting?
I don't know what that guy hit. He just went down.
Oh.
Was he chasing a wheel of Gloucester cheese?
And I thought that guy was toast. And I look over at him and I'm like, you okay? You okay? And he's out of it. And then the next thing I know, I'm literally upside down, pile driving my head straight into the hillside. My guess is somebody just bombed over that blind lip, and I'm going down controlled, and not. I'm braking. I'm slowing it down, but I'm not. I'm not holding it up. But somebody probably just bombed over that lip, and they had no control, and they took out my fork. And
Oh, you got hit?
that's the only. Yeah, somebody hit me.
Oh, well.
Somebody, I don't know who or how or what, but it literally just pogoed me. And
Did it knock you out? Possibly.
I had, okay, how, back when we were kids and we'd watch those Popeye cartoons and, or Three Stooges and
You had little Tweety birds
Tweety
flying around?
Birds
Yeah.
and the amnesia thing and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah, that's for
Then
real.
you
You
knocked her
no,
noggin a little bit.
it was bad. And I was fucked up for a couple years after that. I'm
So
pretty
you're
sure.
saying you're better now?
I don't know about that, but in a different way. Maybe.
He's adapted.
I'm assuming Brad remembers how bad I was in the middle of all that. I came over here one night on my way to 4R, and I was a mess.
Yeah.
And he had to call when I got there to make sure I was okay.
I hate I missed the recap discussion on that because I sure had a good time. That was
Oh,
a
you're
good-
talking Chef's Kiss?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Except for all the heat.
Well,
I could have
you know
dealt
what?
with
Hey,
that.
this was the proof of concept and the test, and I think it could have. I mean, for a proof of concept, it could have gone awful, but it didn't.
Yeah.
I think it was. We knew what we were getting into.
Yeah.
It was the second week of June.
Yeah.
It's
It was-
typically a little toasty.
Speaking of, in contrast, last night was
It
amazing.
ended up being incredible. You were on the different side of the lake. It was not incredible when we were riding.
Well,
it
you
was.
guys took off too early. There's way more daylight.
It was 94 degrees when we left. That's not hot.
Oh, that's hot.
Well,
Particularly when
Tell
it's
me-
90% humidity.
well, tell me about it in next month if you're going to wish you had
You
94
know what?
degrees.
It may actually be cooler next month because when you throw that 90% humid, it was probably a heat index of like 104 last night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But by the time Carla and I took off on the west side, it was
East side.
awesome. No, we took off on the west side. We did a short
Short west.
Yeah.
Yeah. It ended up being incredible after the ride. That was
a little taste of
a
breeze.
little bit. It's well, I mean, Brad's house blocks the breeze. It's supposed to be
Well, it depends
windy.
Depends on which direction it's coming from.
Sometimes it blocks the breeze, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes it blocks the sun, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't understand this.
What's that?
It says Garmin offers its first mountain
Mountain bike specific.
Yeah.
head unit,
I
Head
saw
unit,
that. I have not
yes.
read about it yet.
and it's an Edge MTB.
The Edge MTB, and it's I don't know the ins and the outs of it. It's geared towards enduro and downhill. Supposedly, it has better tracking for trail. That's always been a shortcoming of the GPS units is actually running them on single track. I don't know the specifics of how it's better.
Well, it says
tracking.
special features include recording 5 hertz GPS, which the company said shows riders more trail details, including downhill details.
And
Okay,
that's-
I have thoughts.
and that's what I was getting at. So the 5 hertz aspect is actually more about ascent and descent, more so than side to side. I think it's really geared towards downhill and enduro is really
Yes.
what it is.
For XC people or people doing what we do, the last thing you want to be doing is studying your Garmin while you're flying down a trail. I want minimal distractions.
But I would like it to accurately record where I've been with accurate mileage, as opposed to if you're riding it single track without a calibrated wheel sensor where it misses 15 to 25%
Yeah.
of your mileage.
Yeah.
This is a cool feature, though. It says it has built-in maps that access MTB trail
And
data
trail forks.
from trail forks. And it
Yeah.
says a new fork site mode shows the names of trails up ahead, elevation profiles, distance back to start, trail difficulty, primary direction of travel, and more. That's kind of a cool feature.
That
Direction of travel's pretty, but I mean, like, none of that can't be built into a 1080 right now.
No, I know.
It's just they just put it in a new box,
Yeah.
new container.
Yeah.
It's a different.
So the 1080 already has the trail forks?
No.
in it?
No. I'm just saying the 1080 is powerful enough. The processor,
Yeah.
they could just do a software update and include that. That's just a mapping information. There's no unique sensors within the device that
No,
makes
but
that.
most likely Garmin pays on a per unit basis to trail forks for access to their map. info.
Absolutely, yeah, that's true. I'm just saying, like, it's a cool thing,
So,
but like,
you know what, they're charging $399 for it, I think,
Yes.
or something like that, and probably
$40 of it goes
30 to
trail fork.
$40 of it goes
Is
to
the
trail-
licensing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it goes to trail
for
forks.
sure.
Speaking of the 1080, though, how much battery did you have after Chef's Kiss?
I don't know because I didn't charge it
Oh, mine.
beforehand. I started with 92, and I think I ended up with 80.
Okay. Yeah, I started with 100, and I think I ended up with like 85%
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
I was like, that is too cool.
yeah.
Um,
Imagine if it had been sunny the entire day, the entire trip. You would have used probably maybe 3 or 4% less.
Okay, so but it's fair to say it's a multi-day unit regardless. So-
Yes. Yeah.
Man.
and you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, whether you buy the 1040 or whatever, the 850, 860, whatever the other model is, like, buy the solar. I mean,
Yeah.
it is
Well,
probably one of the best upgrades I've had
I was
in a
reading
long
up
time.
on the 840 solar yesterday because I saw the MTB unit that came out, and it's like it's not even solar. So
That makes sense not to be solar though, because you're in tree cover a lot. If you're in mountain bike trails.
okay, I get that, but where I was going is my next head unit is going to be solar based one way or another. And it's like, okay, so what else is there? So I started looking into the 840 solar a little bit yesterday, and all the feedback on that one, because it is a smaller unit, so I'm guessing it's smaller solar panels,
It makes sense.
is the solar effectiveness of that one is not so great.
Okay.
It's not worth the extra dollars for the unit itself.
Yeah.
Whereas the 1080, it's got a larger footprint for a lot more solar panel.
Speaking of computers, I went off last night and left my computer at the house, and I tried to use my Garmin watch to track my ride, and it was working fine until somehow inadvertently, because the start-stop button is
If you
yep,
do that.
and I must have hit it,
Yep. I've
And it-
done that before.
and it stopped, so I had to end up having Carl tag me on his ride, because we were halfway through the east side, and I looked down, and it said resume ride, and I was like, oh shit.
Uh-oh.
And I had only logged like 2.5 miles.
I am interested in that new Coros Dura head unit.
Yeah, I've seen, so the bikepacking.com guy has been like shoving it down your
Yeah.
throat. But then I saw, was it Lael Wilcox running one of those, or somebody, I can't remember who it was that was running one, and I was like, well, I can't believe they're running something like that. And then I was like, maybe it gives it more merit, but it seems pretty logical, but it's not solar either, though.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. That's the key feature of it. That
Well, that, and it just has the one dial.
it's basic. It's simple. But
Yeah.
the whole point of it is you never have to charge it.
What's the name of it again?
Coros, Coros,
Coros.
Dura, Dura.
Oh, they make a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they make watches and stuff. It's not a fly-by-night operation.
Huh. Dura.
So I'm interested in, when it first came out, it came out a little early. So a lot of the basic head unit functionality wasn't working correctly. I believe the firmware updates since then have addressed most of those things. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that a Garmin or a Wahoo or a Hammerhead does have, but I'm not one of those that uses all of those bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, there's so much crap on my Garmin that I don't even know.
If I don't have to worry about forgetting to charge it or whatever, and it accurately navigates me and displays the basic information I need, I'm happy with that myself.
Are you still that anti-Garmin that you're going to do everything you can to get anything but a Garmin?
I wouldn't go to that extent. Like I said, I was looking at the 840 Solar. I don't want to pay. Well, I don't want the size of a 1080.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay the price of a 1080.
I don't think it's that big.
It is if you're not used to it. It's almost twice the size of a
it's pretty
of a
big.
1040.
It's pretty big.
I mean, 850.
Yeah.
Sorry, whatever the
Yeah.
current one is.
Huh?
Well, I will see, but that's one of the other reasons why I bought it is because my eyes are so bad on the bike.
Yeah.
I can't. I have trouble sometimes seeing the data on the 1080 because I don't ride with my prescription glasses because I can't see distance with them. So having that larger screen has been beneficial.
Your yard cruise here.
I don't have a yard crew.
His yard crew's asleep.
Oh, is that Kieran?
Yeah.
I did tell him to weed eat and blow today.
He's looking at us like, what the hell are they doing?
Have you been outside your neighborhood this morning and seen all the electrical work going on up here at the
It's been going on for weeks. Yeah.
right up here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It looks like they're hanging new lines or something.
Yeah, they're planting new poles, and they dropped a transformer in my yard over here 3 or 4 weeks ago, and there's one like everywhere. There's a transformer along the way. There's one sitting on the ground with insulators and all this, and it's been there for, like I said, 3 or 4 weeks. They came out a couple of weeks ago and trimmed the trees, and I was like, great, they're going to change these out. They're still sitting there. I'm like, I'm going to list this bitch on Facebook Marketplace. I bet I can get like 3 or 4
It's
grand
on your
for it.
property.
Yeah. Come get it.
I wonder what would happen.
Porch pickup.
Like really? Like I guess if you had the money to litigate it, that is on your property.
No.
It's not.
It's probably a right of way.
It's a right of way for the utility
Yeah, it's
company.
probably in there right away.
Oh.
So the utility easement. So it's they are allowed to do whatever they need to on their easement and even to access their easement.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you list that thing?
Very carefully.
Free porch pickup.
Some kind of spaceship component was left on my
Listen to
property.
this shit. I when I had my Tacoma, the week I bought my Tacoma, I took years back, I took the floor mats out, the carpet floor mats, and I bought the WeatherTech ones and got those in. And so I just put the floor mats in a trash bag and put them in the attic. Because I thought if I ever trade it in or sell it, I'll throw those in. Well, truck got totaled, so
Yeah.
I forgot they were up there. So I was looking online, and those things are brand new. They're like $180 for a factory OEM set of.
Yeah.
Anyway, I listed on Marketplace, super cheap, like $50. Mm-hmm. And some guy messaged me and asked me if I would come down on price
And meet him.
in Midlothian.
Yeah. Yeah. That seems to be the move.
I guess they're just like they're just casting that net and seeing what happens.
So they just reply to everything they might remotely be interested in and see if somebody's desperate enough to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I was doing last night when you were like, hey man, live in the moment. Yeah. My mom had sent me a listing on Facebook for a couch. And so I was messaging this lady because I like the couch. I'm trying to replace this couch that's in our living room. And she's like, I go, I'm interested in this couch. She goes, it's still available. And I go, great, I want it. And she goes, well, perfect. She goes, but we're having a lot of traffic. A lot of people want it. And she goes, so I need a deposit. And I go, no. I go, it seems scammy. I said, you're in Argyle? And she goes, yes. And I go, I can pick it up tomorrow. And she goes, well, I still need a deposit. And I go, well, where are you? And she goes, we're off of Forest Trail. And I go, perfect. My buddy Brian lives on Forest Trail. And I said, if you could give me your address, he could come down right now and look at it. And when he gives me the go ahead, I'll send you the money.
Yeah.
And she went cold. And she goes, well, I'm actually out until late tonight at a function. And I go, okay, well, he said he could verify just based on your address because he knows everybody on that street. And she just went dark.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
you're a scamming hoe.
Yeah. Also, though, I'm going to tell on myself
Mm-hmm.
that live in the moment message was a trickle down economics from Adam, because he said the same thing to me when I was on
did
my
he?
phone. Yeah, it's the first thing I did when I sat down was pull out my phone and check the baseball score last night.
Have you seen my baseball?
Let me see my baseball. LSU has to play Arkansas again, but we're sitting in the catbird seat because haven't lost a game. So
I've never heard that
exciting
term.
times. I may actually be in I mean, of course, the tournament is not in Baton Rouge, but I may be in Baton Rouge for the finals if we get in.
Yeah.
We need to pause for a little while.
For what?
All the
Background noise.
background noise. And we're back.
And back.
Weed eating done. Where'd we leave off? I can't even remember.
I don't.
We covered so much ground.
I think we were talking about Garmin's. And,
We were
man, I don't want to bring this up because I'm going to be the lamest one here, but I have not been keeping up with the Tour Divide like I wanted to. I started the first 2 days and kept up really well, but I had a meeting with my Shimano guys yesterday, and he was telling me that apparently this is like an epic weather year. There's been no weather issues, that these guys are flying.
Yeah.
They're covering way, way, way more distances than any other year.
I saw Alexandra this year was on gears.
She's geared, yeah.
And clipless.
Oh, she's not wearing her boots?
And she said that this was her last year doing the Tour Divide.
Why?
So she was just taking in the views. She said she was retiring from the Divide. I mean, I'm sure it takes a lot out of you just to do the event, but to get ready for the event obviously takes a lot of prep as well.
I think that kind of touches on maybe my headspace a little bit, and applies to Unbound as well. And I think we touched on this a little bit last week. I'll be honest with you, I don't give a rat's ass about the Tour Divide this year.
Why?
And I'm probably not going to give a rat's ass about Unbound next year. And make no mistake, I am not knocking the accomplishments of these highest level racers that are showing up for these events. But I'm not knocking that. It's superb achievement. I'm not into that. I'm into the everyman stuff, you know. And I think Alexandra was an everyman type rider, and but her superhuman effort is different than a Lachlan Morton superhuman effort. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to take anything away from people finishing Unbound in 8.5 hours or whatever the hell it was, or knocking out the Tour Divide in what was last year's? How 13 days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't appeal to me personally. I'm not saying it shouldn't appeal to others by any. It just doesn't hold my interest.
The appeal
I
to
can't
me
I
is-
can't relate to that level of achievement in any way, shape, or form.
The appeal to
I get
me is more in line with, you know, the breaking of the 4-minute mile. You know, for years, decades, people thought it was impossible. And then as soon as someone did it, it wasn't impossible anymore, you know? So to me, it's more along the lines of, you know, every year Unbound gets faster and faster and faster. And so just to see the times creep down every year is impressive, and then kind of follow the technology train. You know, when you look at, I think it was, well, I was there in 12 was the last year I was there, and someone almost broke 12 hours, and it was a big deal. And now you got guys doing it in sub 8. Is that right? Or was it just over 8?
No, 8.5 hours.
Yeah. So, I mean, just like that's a lot of time shaved. And yeah, you can make an argument that the course is different. But I think more than anything.
Well, weren't you guys still self-navigating in 12?
That's true.
You were cue sheeting it.
That's
everything?
true. It was cue sheet.
I mean, honestly, how many times did you miss a turn or have to slow down your pace to verify? And like you had to analyze all that. You don't just look down and go, "Oh, left here." Like you gotta be aware of where you are at all times.
And you have to have like a true wheel sensor. Back then, you had to have like a true wheel sensor because the cue sheets were 3.4 miles. Take a right on, and it.
So are you like hitting lap on your device to start resetting your?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work to do for 200 miles.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's literally autopilot.
Yeah. You're just following a line.
What? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, but I mean, even with all of those incremental things, and I would argue that that's not just incremental. You know, when they go to a GPX file versus paper navigation, that's obviously a huge upgrade. You can just keep your head down and ride, you know. But just to make a jump, almost 4 hours difference over 200 miles, that's impressive. And it's interesting to me just to see all the things that added up to make that happen. You know, obviously, technology has changed in the bikes and tires and, you know, hiding the tire behind the wheel and getting more aero and, you know, all of those things. But, and the Tour Divide's the same way. Like, you're right. I don't have a whole lot of lust to be that person, but it's cool to see how people are, you know, at some point somebody's going to go, well, I can't beat that, you know, but the person that says, oh, 13 days, I can do it faster than that. Like that takes a special person. And then to figure out the logistics and everything to make it happen.
I don't dispute that, but in a way you're kind of touching on, you know, where I'm coming from on this. So the more it gets focused, again, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying this is why it doesn't interest me. The more it focuses on that superhuman effort, the less focus there is on everybody else that, you did 200 miles in a day. That's a hell of a thing. Yeah. Let alone, you know, you beat Sunset for 200 miles. That's a hell of a thing. Yeah. Those are like, okay, those are the everyman. Hey, my friend got a buckle at Leadville. Yeah. That was what was cool about these. My friends were doing this, and they were getting the accolades and the attention for doing it. Sure. They don't get that. They get the accolades and attention from their tight circle of friends, but Velo News isn't covering it.
But the everyday man's not doing it for the accolades from Velo News, you know? I
understand, but all of that stuff used to talk about those everymen. Yeah. And women doing these things, and they're not talking about them.
Well, I think there's also a little like F1 style trickle down technology too, though, because some of the things that allow whoever it was to ride Unbound at 8.5 hours or whatever it was, some of that stuff has trickled down to the everyday man, everyday person, whatever you're calling
sure,
and allowing them to maybe shave 30 minutes off of their time.
I don't dispute that. Yeah. I'm just what I'm saying is the mass appeal aspect of it is getting watered down, and I think what we're going to see the same thing in high level gravel racing and now bike pack racing and stuff like that. It's going to be like high level road racing. The reality is very few people outside the racers themselves give a shit about it. But when the sport ends up focusing completely on that small group.
Yeah, but you're the same guy that started hating on Nickelback because they went mainstream.
When was Nickelback not mainstream?
I don't know. I was just trying to think of something.
We had to put our laptops away because it's kind of sprinkling. But it's interesting that the guy, and now I can't remember his name because I looked it up, but the guy that's currently in the lead is doing the rest well, ride fast method. He's stopping for 6 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
In a hotel to sleep. He's not just pulling over on the side of the road.
I would be more interested in the high level racers if they made that part of the rules package, to be honest with you.
Is it mandatory stops?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Well, I don't
know,
I
man.
don't
That
think you
seems,
can mandate anything like that.
I think that gets into it. There's a level of safety there, because if you're hauling ass to try to get over a pass before you get caught in the weather, I see what you're saying.
But
I smell what you're cooking.
There's the safety. Trust me, I've seen it on the rat. There's a safety aspect of people trying to ride for 48 hours straight, 72 hours straight without proper rest.
Yep.
And they're literally falling asleep on the bike.
Yep.
And
You're looking at one.
okay, and that's my
Yeah.
point. Is there I'm not writing a whole new rules package here for I'm not getting at that. What I'm saying is I think the safety aspect of proper rest amongst the whole field is actually a more realistic safety approach than the potential of making it over that one pass just as the weather's potentially an impact for those three riders at that point, sort of thing. I'm not saying it should be implemented. I'm just saying I would be more interested in bike packing type events that incorporated the overnighting as part of it. To be honest with you.
Rain has stopped. Well, the other thing that I think is really cool that I am now that I've just read the updates and I'm going to pay a little more attention. I mean, it is no secret I'm a huge Lyle Wilcox fan. I think she's awesome. But she has a challenger. So apparently they've been trading licks with anywhere between 10 to 25 mile gaps, but and I'm going to butcher this name, but Nathalie Bayon. Anyway, that's really cool to finally have a challenger, because Lyle not only wins the women's every year, she's in the top 10 overall.
Right.
A lot of times.
Right.
Anyway, that's really cool. Who's the guy? Robin Gimperli?
So how many days into it are we now?
4.
So it started this past weekend.
Yeah, okay. Today is day 5, and as of yesterday, he was just under 1,000 miles already.
That's wild.
He was almost 990, and he's adopting the rest well, ride fast strategy with a 6-hour stay at Max Inn for sleep and washing.
Well, it's proven. I mean,
Lachlan proved it.
Yeah. And that's one of those things, like, who would have thought of that if Lachlan wouldn't have said, hey, you can beat the record and still get good rest.
The other thing they're mentioning, which is a residual effect of the speed of the course, is it's allowing them longer stops at refueling to get more calories in. Like people are saying that they're able to eat more. Mm-hmm. Because weather's good, so they can make it in decent time to get to places that are still open and get their calories in.
Yeah. I remember Ray Porter telling me after he did the divide, because I cornered him and just grilled him and asked him a bunch of questions. And he told me that was the one thing because I asked him, I can't remember how I phrased the question, but I was like, what was one thing that was difficult that you didn't even anticipate? And he said eating. Mm-hmm. And he said that he got sores on the inside of his mouth because he was eating so much because of how many calories he was spending every day, that he just could not eat enough. So,
yeah.
And that's always stuck with me. I was like, that's something I wouldn't have anticipated either.
Have you seen the new Otso Fenrir?
No.
I have no idea what that is.
So Otso is the
Wolf Creek
bike brand?
No, Wolf Tooth
bike brand.
Bike brand, yeah.
OTSO. They have a new bike, Fenrir, which I believe my nerdy son had told me one time. I think that's wolf in some language or something. I don't know. But anyway, they have a tie and a stainless.
Well, Otso is wolf in Spanish.
Oh, it's bear. Isn't it?
No, that's Oso.
Oso, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, it's really good looking. It's the bike built for bike packing.
Episode 107 brought to you by Duolingo.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah. And it's pricey, but it's.
So this is a mountain bike?
There's a you can get it in flat bar or drop bar, but it's a mountain bike built for bike packing. So it's got big big geometry, big triangle for bags, lots of mounting points. It's a good looking bike. It's a stainless color.
What is that saddle on there?
I don't know.
It looks like a drop bar mountain bike. It looks a lot like a Fargo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do we know maximum tire size?
Yes, 2.6 or 2.6 on 29er and 2.8 on 27.5.
27.5 doesn't exist anymore.
It's amazing every time, because I spend a lot of time perusing Facebook Marketplace, and every time you see a set of wheels that look really nice and they're decently priced, without a doubt, they're 27.5.
I've got some I9s. You want them?
No.
I can't tell, but it looks like it may have sliding dropouts. It does. Single speed ready.
I believe it does.
Look at that.
I kind of remember mention of this bike now that we've.
Did you?
I've heard about it before.
Yeah, it does.
So I always like to pack. I was going to talk to you guys about this. I haven't texted Brad, and this is not even really.
You didn't ask his permission this time?
No, I didn't. I really have almost an OCD thing when I pack my bike, that it has to be sleek and it has to be not bulky, and it's not. It's just a. What are you looking at?
Seeing if you have shaved legs.
Oh, kind of trimmed. But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to use my 10-liter spine lock Revelate bag on the Rat. I'm going to have to upgrade to the 14 or 16. I just don't think it's enough room, but I can't stand the way it looks. It's so big and bulky back there.
You're not going to be looking at it.
I know. You are. Are you okay if I do that?
The Rat is all about aesthetics.
It
There's
is.
no doubt about that.
It's less. I think it's half aesthetics and it's half peace of mind, knowing that the bigger bags that I have, the more overpacking and the more weight. That's what it is.
That's what
My mind sees a smaller saddlebag, and my mind knows that I am not overpacking. Probably.
Why do you think you need a bigger bag? Let's go there first.
Well, we have to pack more clothes because of the variation in weather. So you're definitely going to have to pack more cold weather gear that you're not going to need for the first 4 days.
Okay.
Probably. That's the main thing, is making sure you have, like when we did our trip a couple of weeks ago, I mean, I had these jogging shorts and a t-shirt. That's it. And flip-flops. I mean, that's it. That's the only off-bike clothing I had. Whereas on this stuff, especially if we're going to try to sleep in a tent, which is not going to be very often, man, you get past Henrietta, it's going to start getting cold at night a lot of times. Cool. But it does get cold out there. I know
I get that, but I mean, every year it's different too. I mean,
right, but you have to pack for that.
No, I get it.
We may pack and never actually ever need any of it.
And you can't go by the weather forecast.
Nope.
On day one.
No.
At all. So you have to pack for both extremes.
So I'm going to get I think it's
the reality is we're going to have at least 2 extremes, if not 3, during the course of the Rat. And it's always somewhere along the way super hot, somewhere along the way super cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually somewhere along the way super wet.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've ever had a year that it may not be super cold, but if it's not cold, it's wet. And it may not be super wet, but if it's not wet, it's cold. You're always going to get 2 of the 3, and heat's always going to be one of them.
I'm happy to not have cold and wet.
Understood.
Yeah.
I'm not going to guarantee that.
Yeah. I've been toiling over my packing options to contemplating going to a full frame and running a bladder, which is something I've never done.
I'm telling you right now, you're going to have to go full frame. You will not be able to do this without it, regardless of whether or not you do a bladder. That doesn't matter. I know you see the same thing where I am with my saddlebag. You're the same thing with your frame bag. You like it sleek. You like it small. The smaller it is, the less that you can overpack, but you're just not going to be able to.
But I can carry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can carry 7 bottles if I need to.
But you're not going to need to. There's not a lot of, honestly, I don't think you need more than there are some places where 4 bottles would be helpful.
Water's my blanket though, and I
I
drink
know.
a lot more water.
What I did was I carried 3 bottles,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had I went from carrying my tent on my. I had a smaller tent that I put on my fork that I ended up when it got really hot. I moved it in my front roll. I put it in between my front roll, the sweet roll, and the other thing, and I ended up strapping like a 2 liter or a 1.5 liter bottle of water that I would carry around extra.
Yeah.
But the stops are, I mean, you just don't have a ton of stops in between that you're going to need 7 bottles. I mean, I know you're not saying you're going to bring 7 bottles.
Yeah.
You can.
I mean, typically you don't go more than 50 miles without a stop. There's a couple of exceptions to that along the route, but
Yeah.
And a lot of it determines on what time you get into town.
Yeah.
But you can always find a gas station or a building that's got a water spigot
Yeah.
on the outside. So I'm going from the 10-liter spine lock to the 16, and then I'm also, and I would recommend you do this too, because we both have the original pronghorn roll.
Mm-hmm.
They have an updated one. Where am I at? Handlebar. They have an updated dry bag that now has openings on both ends, and I'm going with from the medium to the large. I'm gonna get the larger one, not for the length. I don't need the length, but I need the extra, like 2 inches of diameter. Not that I plan on maxing all that out, but the idea of having it is a little more secure, or feels a little more security for me.
What about filtration? Did you bring a filter? No.
I'm not
that
gonna
is
bring one.
pointless.
You're not even going to
Right.
find water out there. Once you get past Henrietta, there's just not a lot of. I mean, there are, but I'm not. I would rather take my chances and ride another 10 or 15 miles than take the chance of filtering that water off that ag runoff. It's just awful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. But I was
the
just
only thing that you might want to filter from would be a cattle tank. So maybe a cattle tank on the red roads, or on diving board road area. Those would be the only places that I would even consider filtering. Everything else is just going to be creeks and ditches for ag runoff that
yeah.
you don't want to filter that shit.
So what about a cook system? You bringing a cook system at all?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I mean, the only reason why you would need it is to spoil yourself with morning coffee, but I just don't think I'm going to want to do that. I'll stop at a gas station and get coffee. Like, it's a completely different feeling than going on a casual bikepacking trip to where you get out of bed and everyone's just rolling around for an hour and a half, getting ready, packing and cooking. Man, you're going to be so tired and so spent, you're not going to want to fucking deal with that.
Yeah. I'm just
if you end up with room in it and you go, I have room for this, do it. But mainly after doing it 2 other times, I'm making as much room as I can for food.
Yeah.
Just to keep food on the bike, just to keep myself
Yeah.
eating as much as I can. Very different types of things to eat.
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff I've been thinking about is, and I talked to you about this too. Like, I've been fueling all my rides, with tailwind. So I'll have, 2 scoops of tailwind in every one of my bottles. And I'm like, there's no way I can ride across Texas and do that.
Mm-mm.
So I've got to shift my mentality to fueling
You have to start
gas
switching
stations.
switching to solid food somehow or another.
Yeah.
The other purchase I would recommend for you is to buy the charging junction box for your dynamo.
Well, I don't need that.
Oh,
Mine.
remind me what yours does?
So mine has a USB that comes off the back of the light.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And so it basically acts as a hub, and then you put it through a through charging cash battery.
Yeah.
So you can charge your cash battery, and your cash battery can run your light at night if you need it to.
Yeah.
Or you can charge.
I forgot that your light has that through charge built into it.
And I think I'm going to get a wired in tail light too, so I don't have to worry about charging a blinky.
Yeah.
Because mine has a pigtail coming off of it that I can just wire up a light for it. So you don't ever have to worry about it. So.
Do you have to buy a specific light for that? They have one that's already, because what my concern would be a USB falling out.
No, it's wired direct.
So it's a specific light that comes wired to your.
Well, coming off the back of my light right now is a pigtail.
Okay.
That's soldered in and housed and comes out.
You just wire
sealed.
that into the line.
Just wire that into the light.
Yeah.
And they're all European lights that are wired like that, so they don't blink. They're just solid.
Okay.
Because in Europe, apparently, you can't have a blinking light because it's a distraction.
In Germany, but so all of Europe does it to German standard.
Oh, okay. In Germany. So
did we give up when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? You don't remember that movie quote, do you?
No.
That's okay.
Was it Animal House?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Are you doing mini rat? Hosting, having hosts? Or have you not even thought about it yet?
I mean, mini rat is always that's basically just a self-determined adventure.
Oh, because you used to have guides. You're not doing that anymore. Because I remember Jan did it one year.
If somebody wants to volunteer to be a guide for a group, hey, we'll welcome them. I'm not gonna. But so here's what we found out about the rat after all these years of doing it. Everybody's doing their own thing is ultimately what it boils down to. It's almost impossible outside of a group depart from that point on. It's almost
after
impossible.
day 2. It's so spread out.
Yeah. Everybody's wanting to do their own pace. Everybody's wanting to do their own schedule. Now I say that we've done the sporadically over the years. We've done the semi-supported spinistry.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you going to say when Dave shows up and says, "Hey, will you carry my bags for me?"
Yeah. So and we may still do that where we do the stage setup. I would still love to actually have a full stage race.
I think
Be part of the rat, but
Well, you did.
we tried it. We tried it 2 years. Well, and we were kind of onto a groove with it a little bit. We had the methodology worked out. Then COVID got in the way again.
and nobody could compete with Matt Stevens.
And nobody could, and that was part of it. Like the best day we had on that was one day we tried, all right, we're going to send everybody out based on their time gap with Matt,
Yeah.
sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
based on the previous day.
Yeah.
So everybody got a head start on Matt, and that was Matt's carrot, was to chase everybody.
Yeah.
So that was Matt's best day. He wasn't just out there in front all by himself.
Right.
And I would love to play with stuff like that, but it's just one of those
There's
things.
one person doing it. It's not worth the squeeze.
I'm not saying it's not worth it. It's just you can't. It's so difficult to build everything around. We're going to do it this way, and then 3 people show up, and nobody's fits that criteria, sort of thing.
Well, if each stage had a place where I could set up a tent, I would be interested in doing stage.
Each stage always has a place where you can set up a tent. That's the way we always do it.
Well, maybe I'll just mirror what you did for stages then.
We could do that.
Because that's
Some of them, though, are definitely. There's a couple that are fairly well off course, though.
yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, wasn't Eisenhower State Park was quite a bit off, and then there was one past Arrowhead that was quite a bit off.
Eisenhower
5
State,
or 6 miles off course.
Eisenhower State Park isn't that far off of the route, and if you're doing it on the stage anyway, it's maybe an extra 2 miles each day.
Okay.
But if you're doing it on stage schedule,
Sometime between now and October, can we get that list of locations?
sure.
Yeah,
Or is that not allowed?
No, I mean
that's the other thing I need to start
it
doing
should
is
be on the
figuring
it
out
should be on the
logistics.
website now. If you go to route1000.com, it'll break down the stages and work.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you and I need to have a powwow and talk about, like, day 1 we're trying to make it to here, day 2, day 3. Day 4.
We can have a very loose, but man, it
Well,
can quickly.
let me do the work for you.
No.
If you guys agree to doing the stage setup, I will make sure to have all those pieces in place, and I will make sure that I'm along for the ride for that week too.
I just don't want to ride 200 miles in one day. and
You
do
don't?
it and do it the next day.
Okay.
You know,
I
You have
think-
no interest in that at all?
no, I don't. I have no interest in attempting to beat. I want to be the everyday man
Okay.
out on course.
Solid and steady?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm not wanting to go out and run
So
200 miles every
you
day
guys
either,
are good
but-
there with it? Good with an 8-day schedule then?
I think so. I mean, I was planning on taking 10 days. you
Okay.
know? But this guy can't do that.
No.
He's going to get tired of waiting on me anyways. So,
All good.
yeah.
All good. Let's plant a flag. You don't have to do it right now this moment. Y'all chew on it while we're recording the rest of the
Yeah.
episode. But if I get y'all to agree to just do the stage schedule, that'll give us actually lots of stuff to talk about
Yeah.
whenever Caleb can make it out to an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And we can nail down the details. And who knows, maybe we will end up with a stage race this year. Maybe we'll get half a dozen people that are wanting to race to those stages.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would love to record at least one episode while we're
Well,
out there.
and that
or
would give
multiple.
that would give us a lot of content opportunity as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it would be stop in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
It would be stop at Denison. It doesn't necessarily have to be Eisenhower State Park. Denison, and then it's Henrietta after Denison, right?
Yeah. And then Arrowhead.
Well, Henrietta and Lake Arrowhead are
Is that the same area?
that's the same
Okay.
place.
This might be the last year for that. They keep selling off all the public land.
What are you talking about? They're getting land.
What?
What was Ron Wadley posted about? There goes South Boundary Trail. I know that's
I
I know
missed-
that's a different state,
I missed that.
but they have the whole portion of land is up for sale.
Holy hell!
Yeah, yeah. Go and look at his post when you get a chance. Because there's
Well-
a lot of banter around that.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the
But that's all BLM, isn't it?
but that's what the current administration is doing. They're trying to take those public lands and make them available for sale or lease.
Well, I mean, there's not much public land in Texas as it stands anyway.
But the exact opposite is happening with the state parks right now. We're getting one state park is months away from opening.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. They keep pushing it back, but it's happening. I mean, you can look on their social medias. And,
There's stuff going on there. Yes.
what's going
Yeah.
on?
No, I mean it hasn't come to a dead stop or anything. There is progress being made, but we just don't know when it's going.
They
to
do a really good. We're talking about Chico Mountains, right? Is that what it is? Chico Mountain State Park, which is north of
think so.
Weatherford.
Is that what they're calling it? Is Chico Mountain?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. But basically, yeah.
But I mean,
Possum Kingdom.
if you look at their social media stuff, like they have facilities built. Their infrastructure's built. Like it's not just some piece of land that they're clearing
No.
out. Like they're actually building shit.
I
Looks
understand,
good.
but they have no idea when they're opening.
And then Enchanted Rock got like another 200,000 acres, right? Or maybe it was less than that.
I didn't hear about that.
There's several state parks that are getting. I don't know. I should know this. We should, because we're talking about it. I'll look it up. But
Well-
there's an organization within Texas that is actively raising money to purchase land in and around state parks to expand state park. Not only create more state parks and expand.
Existing.
Didn't
So
I know it's a national park, but didn't Big Bend just get a new huge chunk of land too?
not that I'm aware of, but so there's a couple pieces at play here. There's a couple conservancies out there that are buying up land, and sometimes they'll donate those to the state for parks and things like that. But there's also the Texas State, what is it, General Land Office, or to the GLO.
Mm-hmm.
They acquire land for the public, but then it's never available for public use. So the state buys it, and then they basically become a Texas version of the BLM, where they'll lease out the land for mineral rights and gas rights and
So
timber.
it's just assets
Yeah.
for the state.
So a lot, like what we're seeing down in Big Bend, like there was a big ranch that had been for sale for years, literally millions of acres, I want to say, maybe tens of thousands of acres at least. And it was for sale for years, and it's just north of our honeycomb hideout for Spinistry Palooza this year. And Rich and I had always just dreamt about get on that property. GLO bought it up, and no, there's no access to it. Like that guy that was doing his version of a route across Texas, what he had mapped out on Ride with GPS went through that land, and they told him no.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember when I mentioned that to you, go, I don't think that that's doable.
Not what he was talking about at that time. I mean, they may still come up with something.
Hey, but power, speaking of all the electrical work, the power's out at my house.
I just noticed the Wi-Fi went down.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It says, I got a notification that says Encore is aware of a power outage.
So I found a great way to kill flies. If you barely open your laptop and you let them get down there, I've already killed 3.
Now, when I came in from the south, there was a limb down and a sheriff's deputy.
Is that what was up here closer to Argyle? Okay.
So maybe that was across the power lines down there, and
Who knows? There's been a flurry of activity between them putting in poles, and then I think they're systematically replacing these transformers, and then they were reworking the lines yesterday out on our country club, and then what you're mentioning. I mean, there's just been a flurry.
all right.
But
So the only thing that might have an issue with camping is our Silverton overnight, particularly if you're hammock camping.
I'm not. In fact,
That's right.
my tent is supposed
doing
to
your
ship
tent.
this
I forgot
month.
about that.
June's not over.
What's taking so long? Did you order it before they actually manufactured
So
multiples?
They have limited production capacity.
They did. What they do is they pre-sold the
Sweetie.
first run, and when then the first run was out, then you could get on the pre-sale for the next one that's shipping in June.
Yeah.
And so I got in on that one, and I'm still waiting for mine to ship.
Okay.
But it clearly says, I went back and looked because I don't
That's
remember.
what I need to do. I'm sorry.
I don't remember getting a confirmation email. So I logged into my account on the site, and it shows where I ordered it. And then I was going to send him an email and go, hey, what's the story? But on the FAQs, it said, when is my item going to ship or whatever? And it said, if it says it will ship in June, it will ship sometime in June. Like, it specifically answered what I was thinking. And then it basically said, June's not over,
So you're hardwired into the AI where it's reading your mind at this point, is what you're telling us.
Yeah.
All right, so you're going to have a tent. So Silverton's not a problem.
Yeah.
Where's the thing in Silverton? Where's the camping?
There's a campground there that also has cabins. So in the past, I've rented a couple cabins for the stage racers, but tent campers can set up there. There's also a city park there.
I may end up not going tent too. I may end up, because you're not going to run a tent, are you?
Yeah, I'm bringing a tent.
You're a tent. Okay.
If we're going to make an attempt to tent, I'm bringing a tent. I'm just telling you, it's going to be very difficult to do it all the time. If weather delays us, or we go a little longer than we want, and we decide it's too late to set up, we want to get a hotel, like, we're just going to have to be.
That brings up a good point. When I do the stage option, there are no 0 days for the stage.
Yeah,
we have the paved alternates.
Yeah.
So if it's a mud day, we're going, but we're just not going to do the rat route. So it's not an official rat finish at that point. But for anybody that's wanting to log an official rat finish, you got to do the dirt routes, which may be incorporate a 0 day here and there.
See, and that's my problem too, is I've been deliberating on tire choice. I'm thinking at this point that I'm going to run the same tires I ran for Chef's Kiss, but in a 2.2 instead of the 2.4.
Yeah.
But those are semi slicks.
I would not do that.
Yeah.
Just, you run those when you want to run fast, and you're not interested in running fast. I would go for the security.
Yeah.
I'd go something a little more aggression.
Probably 2.2 mezcal.
I also
there's just enough sketch stuff in the route that you'll want a good tire from time to time.
Yeah. So probably 2.2 mezcals then.
I know these are not the exact same tire, but they have some of the same properties. But I tested the Torino dries on my Cutthroat fully loaded a couple of weeks before doing the rat, and I did not like how it felt fully loaded. Now I know you just used them.
Yeah.
I know you just used them fully loaded, what are they? Are not the Aspens, the
Aspen STs.
Aspen STs.
Yeah.
Let's call it a semi-slick.
It is a
And Torino Dry is a semi-slick, but it has the
it's called a file tread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
But it's got
check
corners on it.
I know.
Yeah.
But think about checking things off the box that are something that you'll never think about again.
Mm-hmm.
You put Mezcals on there. You put Race Kings. You put something like that on there. You'll never think about it again.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never doubt, did I make the wrong tire choice? Because you're not gonna be worried about speed over confidence.
Particularly if you're doing the stage schedule. It's like, all right, I rode an extra 15 minutes today because I wasn't on a fast tire. It's worth it for just the peace of mind. And all right, so I'm getting a little tired. No big deal if I sit up and rest a little bit. So,
Yeah.
You think you may put comfort sticks on?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't know that I've ever seen you use them, so I didn't know if you were cool with them or not.
Yeah.
that is 1,000% recommended.
Yeah. I ran them when I did, we did Arkansas High Country. I ran them.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember where I've ran them a couple of times on longer bikepacking trips. Yeah, I have a pair. I think Jervicki gave them to me actually.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll definitely be running those.
I do
You'll
like.
need to drag Dravicki along.
I saw a picture on Jervicki's Strava the other day of his Fargo set up with flat bars, and he had comfort sticks on them.
Yeah, that's very Dravicki.
But it made me think, why is he running those unless he's getting ready for something?
That's not necessarily true. He just likes to play.
That's true.
I mean, he put flat bars on a cutthroat one time just to see if he can do it.
Allegedly.
Well, based on what my eyes told me, it wasn't allegedly.
But you remember he ended up getting that frame warranty, and
Yeah.
they were asking.
They were like, how did this happen?
Oh.
The cutthroat is not, the reason why cutthroat doesn't come with a flat bar option is that the torque that you put on a flat bar, and it'll crack the carbon on around the head tube. Your power's back.
That's your power coming back on?
I see your fan.
Heckin' yes. They said it was going to be off till 3:00.
Those liars.
Well, it could go right back
Under
off.
promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
That tells me it's going off again. So
Probably.
secure anything that's super sensitive to power outage.
Batten down the hatches.
Batten down the hatches.
Boys, I got to bail a little early, unless we're calling it.
I think we're good. I need to do a couple of things, and then I'm going to go ride my bike.
Can you come by and water my garden this weekend, or are you cooking all weekend?
Absolutely. No, I'm off this weekend.
Okay.
I had a private dinner on Monday, and the lady called me yesterday in a panic. Because when she was ready to book, I go, are you sure you want to do it on a Monday? It seems weird.
I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah.
You mentioned that on at the Chef's
Yeah.
Kiss trip.
And it's a corporate event. So it was like, I mean, obviously she knows what she's doing. And she called me and she's like, well, we can't really do it. We're going to have to move it. And I go, that's fine. I said, but if you cancel, I can only refund you. Because she paid the full amount. And I only asked her to pay 50%. I go, but if you cancel, I'm only going to give you 50% back. She goes, oh, well, I'm not worried about the money. I want to make sure that we get to use your services and eat your food. And I go, well, I want you to as well. So I gave her I spit a couple of dates back at her, and I said, you need to let me know as soon as possible, because if somebody else books, then,
Yeah.
So
she's moving it to a weekend, or we don't know?
we don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
But I told her my schedule in July, and I said, speaking of which, I announced a dinner. I was only going to do one dinner date in July, and I announced it, and it's like on Monday. Today's Wednesday. It's already sold out.
Oh, good.
I was like,
There you go.
yes.
There you go.
Last year, July was awful for me.
I remember you telling me.
So, I mean, the only reason I announced a July date was I had 4 people that had to cancel for the end of this month. They wanted to move to July, and they said, what are your July dates? And I just looked at the calendar and said, this is the most likely date. And they said, that works for us. So I just structured a date around that, and it's already. So I was like, sweet.
You want to come work in the woods tomorrow morning for a couple hours?
I could possibly do that.
Ben set up a work day. It starts at 8, but I'm going to get up there at 7 because I got to be back at the house by like 11:30 because we're leaving around noon to go to Baton Rouge.
Which trail?
South Lake.
Okay.
Just come in through the gate.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Can you just bring my loppers then, so I don't have to worry about? I mean, do you know where they are?
Yeah, I know exactly where they are.
Okay.
They're sitting back by my pool equipment.
Yeah, bring them out there because we'll probably need them.
I might just hand them to you.
Have we talked? Let's talk about that real fast. So, I've been trying to head out South Lakes. Ben's been kind of heading out from a volunteers, even though it's a finished trail. He's kind of leading out the maintaining and the enhancements and the expansions when they've had it of the Jeff LeKay Trail. Is that how you pronounce his last name? Was it LeKay?
LeKay, yeah.
Okay. The Hartley Field Trail. And he came to me and said, hey, in order to get the city's attention, I think we need to actually join forces and create a group, actually create an organization. So he's done all the front end work. He had already started before he talked to me, but it's just called Denton Trails. He's getting we're getting the 501c3 status, and the thought behind it is that having more of an official group would leverage more pull within the city. So instead of Caleb Wills going and saying, hey, can you bring a skid steer and 9 yards of riprap? Now it's Denton Trails 501c3 is making these requests. And then it also allows us to be a little more legit to get funding and grants from other groups.
Yeah.
So that's we're kind of slowly, I made a Facebook post about it on the South Lakes Trail, but we're kind of slowly rolling into that.
I wanted to put something on your plate in that same regard as well. I hate to bring a problem without a solution, but I rode Canyon Falls the other day. I rode from here and rode Canyon Falls, and that trail has been absolutely neglected.
Yep.
Nobody's even gone through there with loppers or a weed eater. There's drainage issues. It just looks like nobody's worked on that trail in over a year.
Yep.
And it's at that point where if I'm a neighborhood person and I want to use that trail, I'm probably going to go no. But I don't know. I guess I would have to, the starting point would probably be to reach out to Canyon Falls community and be like, hey, what's your plan for this trail?
Yep.
But I was thinking about talking to Jacob, the president of Dorba, and seeing if they wanted to fold it into, make it a Dorba trail.
If it is, I'm going to speculate here and make some assumptions just from my experience with HOAs.
Mm-hmm.
If it is, I mean, obviously it's neighborhood property and they have an HOA. So obviously then probably the HOA has oversight of it. They probably just don't put funding in towards it, and they probably utilize volunteer. There's probably, theoretically, there was probably a guy or two or gal or two that lived in the neighborhood. Maybe someone's moved away or something happened. They don't have time. I would say that you would just have to go through the pain in the ass of creating an MOA with Dorba and the HOA, which I don't know if they've ever done that before. I'd be interested to see what they say.
Yeah.
I just don't know that that's a trail that Dorba would be interested in.
We need trails for all skill levels, though.
I couldn't disagree. I mean, couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is
that's what
Canyon
South Lake
Falls
is.
even interested in it?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
That's what if it's not being maintained, I'm thinking there's a good chance that they're not interested.
So this is just me spitballing because, like I said, I was riding it the other day and I was truly saddened.
Yeah.
Like, this trail's going to disappear.
Is it that bad?
If somebody doesn't mess with it. Yeah, it's bad. Like, I mean, there was a point where I lost the trail.
Oh boy.
And I was
that
like,
never happened.
yeah. And I was like
in the woods or through the grassy field?
through the grassy field.
Yeah. Well, that's fairly easily solvable, but it has never been like that.
No.
I agree.
And face slappers and, I mean, I almost wrecked on that trail. I ended up, taking a redirect to go around. There was just gigantic puddles and we hadn't had any rain in forever, you know? Well,
Not true.
but there shouldn't have been water where there was water.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
We
don't even know who built that trail. So
Yeah, we do.
Shadow did.
Shadow
built
it.
that trail.
Yeah. And there was supposed to be a phase 2.
And he was supposed to be maintaining it too. But that might have expired.
Yeah, probably.
What's up, Lucky?
So I guess I'll reach out to Canyon Falls and see what their thought process is. See if they see what their plan of attack is, if they have one, and see if they're.
I mean, are they even interested in
That's what I was literally about to say.
Well, in non-residents using it?
There is. I hear you on that. There's no current signage that says residents only, but I almost wouldn't blame a neighborhood for not wanting a bunch of non-residential traffic coming in there. It's worth a shot, though. I mean, because it's that's a fun trail to ride to have a little extra trail. There's 3 miles of trails, 4 miles of trails there.
Yeah, I think it's around 4 or 5. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, let's not let it.
Yeah, I don't want
disappear.
it to go away, because I mean, it's a great trail to throw into a ramble. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've ridden from here, ridden there, and then ridden Knob Hills.
Yep.
Just a word of warning or a precaution is a better. I would recommend doing whatever groundwork and homework you can on the front end before specifically reaching out to Canyon Falls, because it may be a beg for forgiveness situation as opposed to an ask for permission. You
mean just go out there and clean it up?
Or just try to find out what you can on the lowdown as much as possible about who's in charge or what their thoughts are on it, or if there's any pushback from any residents.
You think I could just Google who maintains the trails at Canyon Falls?
I think if you know anyone that lives out there, maybe get them involved, and maybe they're lurk on what is the neighborhood group web service, or My Neighbors, or whatever it is that. I don't know what they're.
Next door.
Yeah. Next door. Maybe lurk on the next door for. I don't. All I'm saying is you might bring it to their attention, and they're like, oh, I didn't even think. No, we don't want people out there, and you may get it shut down immediately. Where, oh yeah, we'll just let it go. That makes more sense, as opposed to if you do a little bit of homework and you find out for sure they have interest in maintaining it. That's a different approach. I speak this from personal experience. Sometimes when you shine the spotlight on things with certain people that may have the perception of having authority, it's just easier for them to say no.
Yeah. Well, A1 says that the natural surface trails at Canyon Falls, including those designed by Paul Shadow Johns, are maintained by the Canyon Falls community itself, according to Canyon Falls.
Yeah.
These trails are popular with residents for daily use and are designed to connect them to nature.
But that's my point. If they're neglected, maybe they're not so popular. More than likely, the initial X number of years was covered by the home builder.
You're probably not wrong.
And then after that tour of duty expired, the expectation would be that it would be cared for in the HOA fees.
Or interest in maintaining it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so here's what I'm getting at. If there were somebody that lived there that was using it every day, they would be out there with loppers themselves just for their own. That's how most of these trail organizations get started. This is how most trail stewards come to be. This is my home trail that I get to ride. If nobody's caring for it, I'm going to go out. And if nobody's actually that lives there is doing that, that's a red flag from my perspective. It's not a deal breaker. I'm just saying there's not interest there at the moment for some reason.
Well, it still saddens me.
Understood.
I mean, because the effort was made to create the trail. There was desire to build it. And then.
But maybe it was just marketing speak.
That's sad.
I get that.
I mean, it's much easier to maintain a trail than it is to get a trail. So,
but we're back to evidently nobody's riding it, and you can make the point they're not riding it because it's not maintained.
Yeah.
Oh, if you lived there, wouldn't you be out there with loppers on a semi-regular basis, just making sure at least you had a 2 or 3 mile loop to?
Well, yeah, and I thought about bringing loppers out there, and I may go just ride today and just clip some.
That would be my suggestion. Yeah. And I mean that's a great way. And if somebody goes, well, what are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm just trimming some stuff.
Just
So
cleaning the trail up. A
yeah,
little bit.
and
Yeah.
then somebody might go, well, no, we're letting this go back. We don't want it. You may hear that then, or they may, oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Here's some money. It could happen.
Yeah, that happened.
It could. All I'm saying is maybe just,
Tread lightly.
tread lightly to begin with, and just find out the direction things are going for the property itself. Just a suggestion. One other, I did want to touch on something today before we wrap this up. Do you have 2 more minutes, Caleb? Or do you got to run?
Yes, I can spare 2 minutes.
Okay. Last week you had touched on your heat acclimation and where you were wanting to refocus back on that, and some concerns you'd had along those lines. Have you formally done that, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been making a concerted effort.
Okay.
Um,
And we'll talk about it more next week,
Yeah.
specifically. But I did do a little bit more research on my end. It was very eye-opening, and I think it may, you were talking about maybe not necessarily being off, but you'd felt kind of tired on some of your rides recently and stuff like that, and you thought you should be feeling stronger. Something along. Am I
yeah.
Am I overstating that?
Yeah, and I've come to the conclusion where I think it's a combination of things, but one of them is I need to get fit on my Fargo again. My fit has
Adjusted.
Yeah, and I need to figure out who to go to for a fit, because the guy that used to do my fits no longer works at the shop, and he's moved on to greener pastures and doesn't even do fits anymore. So I'm looking for someone to fit me. And then also I think I've come to another conclusion that I haven't been taking in enough calories for the amount
Okay.
I've been doing.
And that could be part of it too.
Yeah.
One other thing I do want to throw into the mix, because you said you had pretty much properly heat trained last year, you felt, right?
Yeah.
And you have made efforts to ride in the heat and so forth this year as well, but you felt that the structure was off. Or am I reading too much into that?
No, it's gotten much better since then. Like, in fact, last night, well, the weather was good, but I mean, even when I wrecked, I stood up and I was like, felt great. And Carl came back to me and he was,
Yeah.
and I didn't say anything out loud, but I just go, man, I'm so much more adept at the heat than this guy.
So the little bit of research I've done so far, and we'll leave it off here and let Caleb go, but maybe we'll go more in depth next week, is yes, if you, for the past week, let's say, since we talked last, and you have made a little bit, that's almost dead on.
Yeah.
Basically, 7 to 10 days in a row of focused heat training that's what gets you acclimated.
Yeah.
The main core of which is building up your plasma volume. The downside of that, and maybe what you ran into before, is you can actually overheat train as well. And even though you're perfectly acclimated, if you do too much of it on an ongoing basis, essentially your body never recovers, because even when you're acclimated, heat does zap you.
But it's just like overtraining.
In a fashion, it is overtraining.
Yeah, you have
just
to have a
on
rest day.
steroids.
Yeah.
It's not rest days per se. It's a non-heat focused day. But we'll talk more about that next week. Anything else you want to throw into the mix before you head off to do the man's bidding, Caleb?
Oh, do I get to say it? Do I get to do it?
Do it.
Oh, go ride your bike.
This bill legalizes sawed-off short guns.
All right, here.